Let's welcome to the show, folks, a man who knows a lot about deficits and debt ceilings. Sachs is a former assistant Treasury, excuse me, Deirdre, assistant Secretary of the Treasury. He also played a key role in the early days of the Obama administration, leading Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner's crisis response team. Lee, welcome back.
Thanks, Erik.
Let me ask you a question. Peter was just putting a few things in perspective for us, and so is our colleague Juliana Goldman. Is this a no-win situation in some respects for the president? Because, yes, he needs to reach a deal on the debt ceiling, and he has to give something away in order to do that. But in doing so, with the stimulus already coming out of the economy, does he not put the economy at risk heading into next year's election?
I certainly wouldn't call it a no-win situation for the president. I think what he's done over the last several days is he has essentially set the table for a range of outcomes which all could be quite positive. If you think about where we are today versus where we were or where they were a month ago or 2 months ago, the range of possible outcomes in terms of deficit reduction, assuming there's a deal, is somewhere now between, it sounds like, $2 trillion and $4.5 trillion. If you are concerned about deficits and you're a fiscal conservative, obviously that range of outcomes is good. And you know, in terms of whether it's what do you call it, a lose-lose situation,
just in terms of the impact on the economy, jobless rate 9%, an election next year, stimulus exiting.
Of course. So, look, the way you craft these packages is going to be very important. As everyone always says, the devil's in the details. The details are important. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of I don't want to call them little decisions, but smaller decisions within the overall package that are going to determine where the cuts are made, how they're made, what revenues are going to be increased, how, and also importantly, when. Remember, this is a 10-year package. If you were to make all those changes overnight, it would have a tremendously negative impact on the economy.
We're going to go through some of these devilish details with you in just a few moments. Okay. But you said if there is a deal, John Boehner gave it a 50-50 chance. What are your odds?
I hope it's better than 50-50. Look, it's been encouraging to see that there are significant ongoing dialogue behind the scenes. It is very hard to negotiate these things in public, on TV, in front of cameras, and the fact that they met
they met privately and that probably made a difference.
And these discussions are ongoing, I find that very encouraging. Where it all comes out, I don't think anybody knows right now. But
60-40, come on, Lee.
Yeah, I'd do better. I'd say better than 60-40.
Right.
Lee, we were speaking a couple of moments ago with Jan Hatzius, the chief economist at Goldman Sachs, and he said he doesn't really buy the idea that uncertainty is an obstacle to job growth. What do you think? Do you think that the private sector is really encumbered by this idea that there just aren't enough details about fiscal policy, about tax policy, about regulatory policy for them to feel confident enough to go out and hire meaningfully?
Erik, I tend to agree with Jan on this. You know, I can tell you at our company, we're out hiring people. We're not...
Remind us what you do.
So I head up a company with my partner, Alliance Partners. We work with small, medium-sized banks around the country to channel the excess lending capacity that's in the banking system to credit-worthy borrowers who need it. And there's plenty of excess lending capacity out there, but that's a discussion for another day. So
you don't see it where you sit?
I do not see it where we sit. We're hiring. When we make hiring decisions, we don't say, gee, tax policy may change, so let's not hire this person. We decide, and most business leaders I talk to would say they'll make a hiring decision if they think they can make a profit by bringing on that additional person.
As for the clients, as for the companies that you're helping, when they reach out for more money, is it for hiring? Is it for other reasons?
It's both. It depends on the nature of the company. You know, the challenge that banks are facing now, at least the banks that we work with, is not that they don't have enough lending capacity, but they're actually having trouble finding borrowers who are creditworthy. But what we're starting to see is a pickup in demand for loans from businesses, both to add workers, add capacity.
Is this the first
et
time,
cetera.
let's just say for argument's sake, in the past 2 years that you've seen a pickup? Can you put it on a timeline?
Well, we started the company last year, so this has been building slowly. I can't say what what we would have seen several years ago, but I know that when I was in Treasury, when we talked to banks, they said there weren't loans that they really wanted to make.
Lee, I want to ask you a question that in some ways is related to the issue of uncertainty, especially as it concerns fiscal policy. Who's going to be around to make it? We understand that the Treasury Secretary, a man you know well, you've worked with him in the last couple of years, is thinking about leaving shortly after a debt and deficit deal is done, and we all hope that a deal like that will get done. But who really wants the Treasury Secretary to leave in the middle of the race? Is that a good thing to do?
Well, look, as a country, we'd all be fortunate, in my judgment, if the Secretary of the Treasury would stay. That's a decision that he and the president and his family are going to have to make. But I'll leave that to them.
Okay, but when you say no, of course the decision ultimately has to be left to them. I don't think Tim Geithner is going to be taking cues from Lee Sachs on that. But really though, you've been there. You know what's involved. You understand the stakes. We're heading into an election. The economy is still in trouble. Really, it's not recovering at a fast clip. Is it wise? Does the country really need a new Treasury Secretary at this point, given all the experience that Tim Geithner brought to the job and all he's been able to accomplish, notwithstanding his critics?
Look, as I said, he has done, I think, a tremendous job. He's been at this for quite some time. It has been an incredibly intense period to be in that seat, and we're fortunate that he's been there. He's going to decide when the right time is. Frankly, there's really never a good time for this to happen, but I'm sure he'll make that judgment.
All right, we'll leave it there. Lee, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Lee Sachs served both under President Obama, President Clinton in the Department of the Treasury.